Hey, how's it going everyone? Mick from All About Tech. Welcome back to the channel. As you can tell by the title of this video, I recently bought myself a Galaxy Note 20 Ultra just under 2 weeks ago. It was an upgrade from Vodafone and it was a really good deal. It was like 25% off for my tariff. I was essentially paying £1.50 a month for the tariff over 2 years for unlimited data. It was a really good deal. However, I've just returned the Note 20 Ultra and this is all I have left. The useless case that I bought for it, which I'm now going to lob over there because I'm pretty frustrated by this situation. There's various opinions that have been brought forward in regards to the whole Snapdragon versus Exynos debate on what Samsung does in terms of their devices and the hardware that goes in them. For anyone that doesn't know, if you buy a Samsung device, if you live in North America, i.e. United States, Canada, or South Korea, you will get a Snapdragon version of the CPU for that device, i.e. for the Galaxy S20 series, you get the 865, and everywhere else, pretty much everywhere else, gets the Exynos 990. You would think in the Ultra versions of the smartphones, their most expensive versions, the most pro-line versions of the smartphones, they would just put the Snapdragon version in that phone. They don't do that. You still get the Exynos version depending on where you are in the world. I'm in the UK, so my Note 20 Ultra, which they even upgraded the CPU, the SoC, to the Snapdragon 865 Plus in the Snapdragon regions, and they still kept the Exynos 990 in every other region. Kept it the same price, which by the time you do the conversion, it's actually still more expensive to buy a Note 20 Ultra, etc. in, say, here the UK, because the conversion rate it never works out well for us when buying tech, and it's an inferior device. It's so frustrating. You're paying top price for a smartphone that comes with, in my opinion, a non-flagship SoC. The 865 and the 865 Plus are fantastic flagship SoCs in Android-based smartphones at the moment, and unfortunately, Samsung are marketing their Exynos versions, which are inferior. They have much worse battery life, worse compute performance, worse camera performance because of the image processing, the image signal processing that happens on the device. It's the SoC that does that. It's inferior in pretty much every way, yet they're marketing them as the same powerhouse devices. It makes no sense. And going on to my experience with the Note 20 Ultra, I was really impressed with the display. I was impressed with the performance at first. The main reason I bought it was for that pro video and the quality of the cameras on the Note 20 Ultra. And I must say that pro video mode is absolutely fantastic. You can change the ISO, you can change the white balance, you can do manual focusing, you can change the shutter speed, choose your frame rate, resolution, etc. It will shoot in 4K 24 frames, which I did manage to get some really good footage with it. But unfortunately, because I have the Exynos version, it can't hold the temperatures to be able to withstand a half decent amount of use with these pro features that they literally advertise for. It's really frustrating. I had the Note 20 for 11 days exactly before I took it back to Vodafone today. They asked me why I was returning. I said I'm just disappointed with what you pay in regards with what you get in return. They tried to sweeten the deal in the non-Snapdragon versions by giving you double the storage So instead of one 28 gig, you get two 56 gig, plus the AKG headphones, which for me will never leave the box. And for most users will never leave the box because nobody will use them. Everyone's using wireless headphones now. But the storage, whilst it sounds good on paper, what you have to remember as well is that the Note 20 Ultra has expandable storage. You can put an SD card in it. And for anybody, say someone like me, that was planning, because the Pro Video mode paired with other things about the device, like the really good Windows 10 based collaborative software for like the companion app, etc., made it a really good experience to use the phone as like a productivity device. I was actually in the middle of producing a video where I was considering getting rid of this camera to use the Note 20 Ultra as my main camera, because I can get similar quality looking video with that Pro Video mode whilst getting higher resolution, because I wanted to start uploading in 4K. But unfortunately, the moment you start using it for prolonged periods, the app will just close and I'll get a notification to say that my phone's overheating. So it's having to take measures to stop it overheating. That shouldn't happen on a £1,200 device. It shouldn't happen on a $1,400 device. This shouldn't be an issue that consumers should be dealing with at the very top end. If you want my opinion on the Exynos chipset, it's not a bad chipset, but it doesn't belong in your £1,200, $1,400 flagship models. It doesn't belong there. Snapdragon 865 and 865 Plus, they're the chipsets that can handle all that image processing, the prolonged gaming, the 8K recording of video in the Pro Video mode. The Exynos isn't cut out for it because it just overheats. I was trying to do the video where I was starting to use it for more prolonged periods, and that's when I started to notice the difference. And as soon as I was getting prolonged and continuous notifications that the chipset was that the chipset's overheating, so it's closed the app, or it won't charge while still being able to use the Pro Video app without overheating, etc. That to me is just something that you shouldn't have to deal with at that price point. So I took the phone back. It's something that I was thinking, and I know that I'm not going to get that deal again on that particular device, but as someone who's quite a heavy user, it's not worth it for me. I'd rather go out and get something with a Snapdragon 865 Plus, with good cameras that I can still potentially do what I wanted to do in the first place. It's a real shame because that Pro Video app, I could set the phone on the camera rig where this camera is now, go onto Windows and control the phone, so I don't have to touch it anymore. I don't need to see the display. So all I've got facing me is the camera sensors, and I could just do everything on the PC. It will save directly to the phone, pop the SD card out, pop it into the PC, transfer it over, and start editing. It was going to be a really good way of working my videos. To have these issues on the Exynos version, which shouldn't even be in this top of the range smartphone, it's just ridiculous to me. I really don't understand how Samsung can justify this. There's been a few content creators that have brought this up. The general consensus of what a lot of people are saying is that for the majority of users, it won't affect you. It'll be fine. For heavy users, it will affect you. The battery life is worse. I thought getting through the day with my iPhone 11 was a bit of a struggle. The Galaxy Note 20 Ultra was moderately better, but not by much. And that has a considerably bigger battery. When you're paying that much for a smartphone, it shouldn't have to come down to, oh, but it's not going to make any difference to the majority of users. It's really frustrating to be paying out that much for a smartphone and getting a considerably inferior experience. And it's such a shame because the Snapdragon version I would have been so happy with, because it wouldn't have had the issues that I've faced with the overheating, etc. It's just unacceptable. I really wanted to get that off of my chest. I was in the middle of doing this really in-depth video about how a Note 20 Ultra can potentially replace a half decent DSLR camera as your main YouTube creator device, whilst not having to get separate hardware, etc. The companion app is fantastic, what Samsung and Microsoft have come together to do there. The display is fantastic, media consumption on that device is fantastic, but the Exynos version just absolutely lets it down massively, in my opinion. Then again, I am quite a heavy user, but that's still not a good enough excuse to put an inferior chip in just because most people won't tell the difference. Especially when you look at Samsung as a Korean company, yet in their own local market they use Snapdragon processors. That says it all. Adding double the storage means absolutely nothing, because you can expand the storage with an SD card, which is more convenient for those that want the extra storage to use, say for example, that Pro Video, because you can quickly get it out, put it into the PC, and transfer all your video that way. It would have been so easy. If only I had access to a Snapdragon variant of that phone. It's so frustrating. Apologies if this sounded really ranty. There's not really any other way to describe it. I'm really disappointed because there are so many things that are really, really, really impressive about the Note 20 Ultra. But the Exynos version just absolutely kills it, especially for my use case. The Snapdragon would have been absolutely perfect for me. If you like this video, give it a like. Leave your comments down below what you think of this whole situation. They're marketing them as the exact same phone, and they perform wildly different. It baffles me. Like I said, I hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel. That's it from me. I'll catch you guys out in the next one. Peace.